Welcome back. Well, we have Ken Post here with the Hearing Remedy, and he's brought samples and he's got some great tips for us today. Well, thank you for joining me.
It's great to be here, Lisa.
I love the fact that you bring samples because I think that's always good for people to really have a good visual of what they're, sometimes what they're up against, what their choices are. I mean, there's a lot to consider. So, tell me a little bit about, when you have to choose certain types of hearing aids, there's a lot that you have to do.
Yes, I mean, the biggest thing is really choosing what level. And we're talking about, we're talking about levels. The basic level is the least expensive, and then we go up levels up to the premium level, and that's the most expensive.
Okay.
And it's important to understand that, but actually before you go in there, really understanding that it's really good, so that because how we decide which level, it really depends on the activity of the person.
Oh.
So it used to be years ago that different hearing aids had different, were better for different kind of hearing losses, and now they're digital. We can adjust almost anywhere.
Okay.
So the real important thing is to be honest with yourself as far as your activity level. If you're very active, you're going to family gatherings, or you're going to places, maybe you eat at a noisy area that every day you go to a cafeteria or whatever, then that's the places you're going to struggle. There's a lot of noise.
Okay.
So when you get into the premium level, you're going to be able to hear basically pretty much everywhere you're going. I mean, there are some places, a live band, or there's some places that are so loud.
Yeah.
But pretty much you're going to be able to do well anywhere. When you get down to the basic level, then you're in not real noisy areas.
Okay, so before you come in, then you need to know what kind of activity you have, but you're talking about not like physical activity, you're talking about how often you go places that are noisy versus those places that are quiet.
It's social activity.
Social activity,
things, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe there's a big group of people to get together to play bridge. Well, if it's just one table, it's pretty easy. But if you're in like 20 tables, then you're going to hear everybody else, and now you're going to have more difficulty hearing.
Oh.
And that's where you need a more premium level hearing aid.
Okay, so when you talk about these different kinds of levels, so what are you looking at in terms of, cost? I mean, you start out at a particular level, and then that would be like your lower cost, right?
Right.
And then the higher levels you go require more technology, and so those are more expensive, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the lowest level is about $1,500. $1,600.
All right.
That can give you a rechargeable hearing aid, but very basic in terms of how much it helps you when it's noisy.
Oh,
So basically, when we're talking about levels, if we're in a situation like this, it's just the two of us talking, you're not going to notice the difference from the lowest level to the highest level.
Okay.
It's really when we start getting a little bit of noise. Maybe there's a TV playing and we're trying to talk.
Okay.
Or maybe we're in a not too crowded restaurant, and it's that really we need to get into, if you're going to restaurants a fair amount, we need to get into a mid-level at least.
Okay.
If you're going to go to really noisy restaurants, or you don't get the chance to pick it, then you would want to go to a premium one. Or maybe you have large family gatherings. That's where there's lots of talking going on, and that's the kind of place where the premium level really helps you.
Right.
So the premium levels are up in the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 range.
Right, and that's a lot for someone to spend. However, some insurance companies help pay for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the important thing. When you go in, we'll help you. We'll actually, while you're there, we'll call them and find out what does your insurance cover? Okay. If you don't already know.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot more insurance companies now have coverage. Sometimes it's not a lot. Sometimes it's actually phenomenal what they'll cover. Basically, one of the companies I deal with, with their chart, what you pay for their top line hearing aid is basically you're getting a premium level for the cost of a basic one.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And that's a lot of money you're saving with
absolutely,
that.
Absolutely. That's great. We've got a couple of samples, and I imagine some of those larger ones that you have sitting there are those more of the lower level?
Yeah,
And I only know that because you have been here so many times and you've showed us lots of different samples.
Right.
So I'm guessing that was the case.
So, I mean, would be a lower level,
Okay.
and this one here would be the higher level.
So maybe just kind of hold that up
So
for all of us to see.
basically, I'm doing this just to say they look the same. When you start looking at a lower level hearing aid, whether it be a custom hearing aid or whether it be a non-custom in the ear, tiny hearing aid, the levels are just what's different inside of this.
Oh, so it's just the technology.
It's the technology that's inside of
see.
this, but they look the same from level to level to level.
Okay, so why would you choose? I mean, why do people choose these different kinds? Like what's usually okay, I want that bigger one because of what reason?
Something like this, when we go to something like this large, there'd be two reasons. One is if you had a really bad hearing loss, where we really have to plug up your ear more so that we don't get that squealing, the feedback. So sometimes we have to go to these. Not as much, actually rarely now with the technology because they electronically cancel that squealing now.
Gotcha, okay.
So it's much less. The second reason is if you want one that fits in your ear, that's rechargeable. There's two brands now that have this size of hearing aid that's rechargeable. You don't have to fiddle with batteries. The batteries in this one are tiny.
Right.
It's a very small
I think I would
battery.
lose that in the carpet. It would drop and that'd be the end of it.
Well, fortunately, the batteries aren't very expensive. We're talking about pretty much pennies.
Oh, okay, good.
So batteries aren't a big issue, but handling them can be
Yes,
an issue.
absolutely.
So you have to be able to handle something this small, get it in and out of the hearing aid.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. Look at that. Even you're having trouble.
Yeah, well,
and you do it all day long.
And I put it in upside down. So there's a couple things. So this is a nice, small, discreet one. This one's not as discreet as far as fitting in your ear.
Yeah.
These are tiny and discreet, but again, same issue with the batteries.
Okay.
So there's trade-offs between these.
Right.
These small ones, if you really don't want people to see that you're wearing hearing aids, these small ones are what you're looking for.
Right.
But again, you have the battery issue.
Yeah.
And they don't work quite as well in noise.
Right. And I know you've showed us some other ones that have batteries internally, but you pop them in a little charger and then you don't have to take the battery out.
And they look very similar to this. This is the behind the ear. They're going to work the best in noise. And so, but the people say, well, what does the premium one look like? Again, it's like, okay, it's all the same.
Okay.
It's all what's inside.
So it's a visual thing. So it's kind of whatever you choose. Visually what you want to do. Either you want to completely hide it or you really don't mind. You choose amongst those, and then the levels go from there.
The levels go from there.
Really what changes the cost is the amount of levels.
The amount of technology levels that are in there.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that the technology does that helps you hear better when there's noise.
Exactly.
And it's the great thing now is that that's all handled automatically. So these are very simple to use. They're hard to program from my end.
Right.
They're hard, but as far as using them, they should be adjusted and set up so you just put them on and wear them.
Right. Okay. And then one last thing is if you are a little budget conscious or you're a little budget strapped, but you really want to go with a higher premium, what can you do?
We do have some used hearing aids we can go to there where we have some that are the highest level maybe 3 to 4 years ago.
Oh, that's kind of good.
Yeah, which would still be better
than
buying
a used car. You still get all the goodies, they just are a little bit older.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
So we can get you a premium level. Well, the premium level is not going to be as good as this year's premium level.
Sure.
But it's going to be much better than the basic level this year.
Right. Well, maybe, right. Or maybe you haven't changed your hearing aids in 10 years and you just still are in the same position financially. That is a wonderful option. How often does that happen?
Not that often, but we do. I've done it quite a few times. I try to have a pretty good collection of used hearing aids so that I have good options to show people.
That's great. I love that option. Well, that's so great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all of the information and always the samples. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. And if you want more information, you can always call the Hearing Remedy at 949-340-8433. 837. We'll be right back.